Well, good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to Partick Hill Station. I'm Charlie. So it's Saturday. I thought I would jump in and do a quick live broadcast just to update you on a couple of developments here. So as I say, welcome back. I try to make sure that there's always something new going on here. And today's not any different. So if you can help me out and just let me know if you're hearing the audio okay. I see there's somebody online. That's a good thing. So Mark Hemel down. Okay, that's great, Mark. Thanks very much for that. I've tried to simplify things rather than being complicated by adding in additional cameras and also changing a mic. It doesn't always work out, and you really have to know the system inside out and what works and what doesn't. And the last couple of live presentations I made, they were problematic, not only with the audio, but with, let's just get this up full. Yeah, not just the audio, but I had a problem with, Tom Houston, good afternoon. Lee, good afternoon. How's things going at your workstation? What are you building today? I saw you had a gantry there. I wasn't sure if you were building it or just, from a kit. It looked as if it was a kit you had. Hey, Andrew, 156. Yeah, I saw a video you had the other day. That's great that you get out there and share that information with us. So, as I said, I had a problem with my Brio camera. It froze up and was basically useless. So I had to do a bit of research on it. I tried to contact Logitech. You have to get into their site and then work your way through it. And I watched all kinds of videos. It wasn't always clear, but one thing I picked up on was you have to be careful where you plug the cable into. Now, it may or may not have been a case of plugging into the computer, but I've got a small hub at the side of my MacBook Pro, and I've got it plugged in there. So today it's working, and that's a good thing. Anyway, so during the week, I had another tutorial from Tom Houston. Tom's been helping me out greatly with the electronic issues that I've been experiencing. And one thing, and this is the safety hack getting on now. There's a mysterious mechanic. How are you? Good of you to drop by again. So I get the safety helmet on. Tom enlightened me with these battery chargers that you get along with a laptop or other equipment. And while it might say 12 volts out, if you actually check it, and in my case, I think it was 16 volts or 19 volts. And I don't know how many of you are aware of that fact, but if you're not and you're using any of these battery charging things, from a laptop, just check it out with your multimeter. You'll be surprised, um, because I've got a number of them here that I use for different components. And as Tom said, well, you hopefully wouldn't, but you could burn something out. Hey, hi, Yonka. And as I've been installing the shuttle system, I've got a brand new uh, control board from Circuitron. Now, I bought this down in Los Angeles about a year ago, and I did a video of the visit to the store, and the guy said, "Yeah, this one will work for you." So, in the meantime, I had experimented with some bits and pieces I had purchased um, from Amazon. Maybe they came from China, and I thought it was for a shuttle service, but a couple of them I think were just for uh, light controllers. So some of you won these in a giveaway that I had. Um, Barnabas Junction, I think he won one of them, and I don't know who got the other. So that was kind of a waste of money uh, buying those two. But this one seems to be the real McCoy. So I went through the documentation, and I'll just see if I can show you here. All right, so I'm just going to switch over. Uh, yeah, it's only rock and roll, but I like it. Yes, how very true. So um, it was rain. It rained yesterday, so I had to get out and cut the grass today because the grass grows like crazy because I fertilize it a couple of times through the summer. Anyway, it was hard work. So um, what you see here is the basic setup, and this here is the Circuitron control unit. And as you see, I've got it set up to take the various wiring components. Let me just get out of that, and yeah, hopefully I'll go on to single here. Yeah. So as you can see, I've got it set up. I'll plug those wires in, crimp it, and then test it. It's Druitt and Cumbernauld, yeah, I bet you it is. So, how's the weather? Andrew, it's 22, 23 degrees. It was cloudy, a bit muggy this morning. But we've had, contrary to what you might see uh, on TV or YouTube, where we've got lots of fires going on, where we are in southern Ontario, uh, we don't get that problem, thankfully. And this is where the majority of people live, is in southern Ontario. So anyway, so that's the basic setup there. But I'll show you what I've done. I'll just get this one. We'll go back on this. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you what I've got at this point. So at this end of the track here, which I remove that. All right, so at this end of the track, you can see there's a little sensor. And so when the locomotive passes that sensor, it cuts the power. Now I had to solder these tiny little wires into a black and a red wire that goes under the table, follows that track all the way around here, and comes up here. I've also, or this one, I've also got the same setup at this end of the track here. So as you see, it's a short distance. The whole idea is maybe passengers come into the station and they change over to a local shuttle, and that takes them over to a small station on this side. So there's a little sensor and the two wires, and that too comes all the way around. Plus, as they say in the middle of the diagram, at A and B, you need two wires that come back to the controller, and they're coming up here. I just haven't pushed them through. Now, let's get back around here. Yeah, I'm not sure why these. There you go. And then that one. Yeah, see, that happens. Let me just try and change this one up. Hopefully this will come back on again. But that's the issue I was having. Well, there's one of them up. And then on this one, we'll try and get, well, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that one like that at the moment. As you see these things happen, it just drops off for whatever reason. So you move the camera around. So regarding these controllers, what you need to do is have 12-volt power going into the little board. And you also need a controller going into the board. So I've got enough controllers around and some small units that will do. And, my next step is to just get all the wires coming up through the table to that board. Let's just see if I can. I'm going to try and get this one back on again. There you go. So now we're back. Yeah, so the next task will be to get the wiring up, get them crimped onto those connectors, um, get the get the power into it and the controller, and then I'll do some testing. But in the meantime, what I had done was I tested the track itself because I did have power to that track, and I'm going to try and do that, replicate that again. If I can. Okay, so I've got a Fowler 4F coming round here. I'll just come in, see if you can see that. Well, we'll just have a look here. Hopefully it doesn't drop off. So there's the Fowler, and what I'm doing is I'm powering it through this small $5 controller unit that I bought from somewhere in China through Amazon. And there it goes. Now, it stops automatically here because when I first did this, I cut that track and, they said put a diode in, but I didn't have the appropriate size for it. So that track there is isolated, and I'll just bring it back over that, it'll go off on its own again. So, when I've got this finished, I can maybe have that SPT or something else just going around here slowly. I've got a little bit of a problem type. I've got a problem on the track at that point there. Too much lead on it, so I need to scrape that off. Anyway, as you can see, the little system works just great, which is a nice little addition as the other trains travel around and through Partick Hill Station. And there, that one stops just automatically. So, well, it's good that this hasn't dropped off. I'm happy about that. Just get this into a position where yeah, okay. So that's where I am with Tom's help, getting the shuttle service going. And that's a big step forward. And as I said, I learned a lot because I wasn't aware of this thing with the voltage in these battery chargers. Anyway, I'm just going to see if I can, not this one. Well, let me just check. Okay, so and I'll get this single, not that one. So I was digging through my old magazines. Can you hear me, or is it dropped off? Just let me know if you can hear me. I've got a note here that it's dropped off. I'll just do it that way. Hopefully you can hear me now, but please let me know. Anyway, I came across this railway modeler from December 73. Yeah, and it was 20p. What a bargain that is. You won't get one for 20p these days. And, there's some interesting articles in here. There's a station here, South Ollerton. South Ollerton. It looked like a nice layout. Newland Railway, good evening. Just let me know that you can hear me. Oh, okay, Tom, that's good. Thanks. So it's an LNER line in 4mm scale, described by Peter English. And, a nice photograph, black and white though. Great detail. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the layout is about 12 by 8, and it's quite extensive. Great use of the space. You get everything you need there. And there's a nice photograph of the bridge cutting across. I'll just remove that. Yeah, nice data. So that makes for great reading. And as I say, there are some nice photographs in here. I wonder if that is still around. And this is a fairly large article. It's half a dozen pages or more. And there's the, let me just see. There's the list of locos that they've got there. And then the next article is how to make dry stone walling. It's pretty simple these days, for the most part. Double check that those sensors aren't shorting to the tracks, and ideally the sensor should be looking upwards. Okay, Tom. All right, it seems to be working okay, but I'm not really sure, now that you mention it, which side is up on that sensor. But The power is off to it, so I'll check that later. Anyway, the dry stone walling these days is relatively simple, as you probably know. All you have to do is get a piece of pink or blue foam and carve it out and then paint it. And I've got an example around here somewhere of that very thing. And then in the same article, they did some scratch building of some Tudor houses, as you can see there. And that's by A.G. Downs. It's an interesting article. And for you guys at Model Engage, how about that one? It's a Yuri H15, never heard of it, 460. And there's a branch line article on Kingswear. I'm not really sure where that is. And Little Kimbo and St. Ives. I don't know where St. Ives is, but yeah. I'm going to go full screen with that. So that may be better for you guys to see it. And here's a building, like a water tower type building, or a coaling stage. Yeah, coaling stage and water tower. So the plans are there. If anybody was interested in trying to scratch build that. That was a nice thing about this magazine. It had lots of examples and architectural sketches that you could use to do your own scratch building. And there's a nice isometric or perspective view of Dewsbury Midland and the accompanying track, plan of the month. So loads of letters to the editor about different topics, subject matter, bookshelf, models, how to divide a circle. I did that when I was at school. Simple methodology, you just need to know how to do it, and that's it. All right, I'm just going to escape out of this and get back. And Tom says, so the disc should be flat. No. And the lead should come out the bottom. Okay, so I'll do this one more time so that you can see. I've got to change this one up. Okay. So you can see I've got the wires coming out underneath the rail. And there's the sensor. The sensor is between two sleepers. Unless I misunderstood about those wires, but I presume that's how you would do it because they're not very long and they wouldn't be able to go through the table. But it's lying on its side. Oh, I see. So it should be like that, I guess, is what you're saying. So the sensor is on the top. Okay, and what I would need to do is push the sensor down, make sure the wires are out to the side, like that. And I think the connections are okay. So I think that's what you're alluding to there, Tom. The sensor is actually pointing up, and that's what we need. Thanks, Tom. I never really noticed that. I'm glad you're here. And I'll just check the other one. And I've just fixed that one too. And so let's just see here. Get it back onto the tube. We'll just have a look at. So, what is your opinion of the DUF line? Because I've got 4 or 5 of those BR Mark II intercity coaches, and they're quite long. Well, they're longer than Lima ones, let's put it that way. I bought them thinking they would be a great addition, but they might just be too long for this layout and the curves that I got. I'll show you them one day, but I haven't really seen anybody else or heard anybody else that had an opinion on the DUF line. Yeah, so I've got loads of magazines that I've bought over the years, or people have passed them on. And what I've done is I've gone through. I've gone through most of them and tried to divide them up. This has got an interesting article. Maybe I'll cut that one out and throw the rest of the magazine out. Or, I've read it. It's no longer any use. I'll throw the magazine out because nobody really wants the magazines now. They've probably read them, and as for newer ones, uh, those who are really interested can buy them online and digitally read them. But I think most people prefer still to turn the pages. Let's see. Well, I guess we're down to 2 viewers. That's okay. So, Newland, did you get anything in the mail today that you'd like to tell us about? Always a pleasure to see what your postman brings. And I know you said the other day you didn't get anything that day. So I used to get packages a lot and I would always sneak them into the house. And that's why now I've got a fairly large collection that never come out of the box because I can't run them all at the same time. So how's the weather in Northern Ireland there, Tom? I guess it's wet, 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 as it say. Has anybody seen an update from Alan in the loft out there on his tour? I'll need to try and catch up with him later today. He must. I know he was there with Mark uh, last week, Friday or Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. And then he'd be heading out from there somewhere else and doing his grand tour. It was okay till lunchtime. Yeah, like people say to me, "Oh well, what's the weather like in Glasgow, Charlie?" I said, "Well, it's like four seasons. Take your choice. Just depends on the time of day you go outside." So let's see if I can get something else out there. I know Andrew has probably moved on, uh, but there's the SPT uh, DMU just coming around into the station now. It's a nice unit. Yeah, I think I've got a problem with the front body here. because it seems to jump over the one point, and I'm not sure why that is. And I put some ballasting down in this area as you come out the tunnel into the station. It's maybe just a little bit heavy, as you can hear it when the locos run through there. So I've painted the rails, which you might be able to see, and added a bit more foliage back here against the retaining wall, and I'll continue with that here in the foreground between this line and the shuttle line. I think I'm going to have to take this diesel out because it really doesn't like whatever's going on at that point. And as I say, it might be a wheel or something, because I don't have an issue with any of the other locals at that location. Well, Triple Valve 62, the depot. Good evening, Richard. How are you? Haven't heard from you or seen of you for a little while. What's happening down your neck of the woods? And I was watching some of the football earlier today, and looks as if it's pouring there. I watched the Bournemouth game, and then the Arsenal game, and then Man City, and it was pouring everywhere. So, Richard, you missed the part at the beginning where I'm in the process of installing a shuttle service that will run here around the table and end up back here. So all the wiring is in place, and I've got a sensor there and another one here, and I should get that done within the next couple of days. I bought the unit. I'll just show you the unit here. It's a Circuitron unit. I bought it in the States, and I'll get it hooked up, and we'll get something running back and forth there. Just add a little bit of interest. So I'm quite happy with the way things are running now. I had addressed a number of issues with track, maybe not lined up properly, or the connection wasn't 100%. And I make a habit of checking couplings, because often couplings get tied up and bent, and that causes a little bit of displacement. So the Class 37 I bought from a guy here. He lived about 2 hours drive away. We agreed that possibly we could meet halfway. He lives out toward Niagara Falls. But the thing is that, traffic around this area, at least on the way to Niagara, gets pretty busy. And, I weighed up the price of driving there and back and the time. And I said to him, just stick it in the mail. And he did admit that it wasn't working that well, but I cleaned it up and I got it working, no problem. And then the Class 47, which is at the other end of the layout, I bought that from a guy in the US, and he said, well, it does run, but he says it probably needs a little bit of assistance. And sure enough, that was the case. But the beauty of it was I bought it from a guy in the States, and I was in the States at the time down in California. So it was $13 to get it from where he was, which he made. I think he was also in California, but that was the sort of standard rate for the US. If he was going to send it up here to Toronto, it would be $30+. So that takes the goodness away from it. Maybe this winter when we go back down to the States, we'll have a look around eBay and see if there's any bargains there. Now, if you followed my YouTube travels, you would have seen that I visited some different museums and stores in both California and in Florida and Georgia. But very, very few British Rail stuff. I think I found just a couple of items, but none of them were of interest to me. But there are a lot of people in the States who do have. Clive Cobbold, good evening. Clive, how are you doing today? I hope you're feeling better. Tom told me it's raining there. That's unfortunate. What you need is some sunshine. But yeah, as I say, there are people down in the States who have collections, or they do trade in British Railway stuff on eBay. So I know there was a market there at some point, and in certain cases there still is. For me, it's an option if I'm looking for something, but it has to be me getting it delivered in the States to an address there. Otherwise, it's cost inhibitive, just like eBay from the UK. If I send a small package, which I've done to some of you guys out there, it'd be $12 for a small package. Doesn't weigh very much, but if I was sticking one of these locos in a box, it could be $20, $30. And that's just a shame, that while you might be getting a bargain, you're having the bargain is kind of offset by the cost of postage. So yeah, I used. I'll just show you this. I used Starbucks coffee sticks here to create a walkway over there, and I covered it with some dark ballast, which I'll need to wipe up. Um, nice variety of trees there. And what I am thinking of doing is I might change that area up there because behind that there's a notch out of the table. It's a miscalculation when I was building it. I'll need to fill it in, and originally the idea was to take uh, the blue cement works and stick it up there and maybe have a track coming out into the works uh, just for a visual effect more than anything else. And then I would need to find a home for this structure here. I'll work on this corner in here and put a roadway in there. This calling unit shouldn't be up there. I'll bring it down here somewhere when I get a chance to move stuff around, and I'll develop a tunnel entrance there into something and get the signal box out into the station area somewhere. And I'm going to extend this sheet metal enclosure along towards the tunnel, and I'll put in some wiring cabling along here for a different effect. And I'm using this red, orangey, pink coloured ballast that you find in Scotland. I bought a bag of it a couple of years ago when I was at Rail Scotland, and I've put it around part of the station, but I need to do the rest of the track here. I'm not going to ballast the whole thing, but the area of the station for sure. You'll need to have a closer look at that, the Queen Mother, the Class 47, number 541. I'm not sure if that's the railroad, the cheaper line of Hornby, because it does have a lot of detail on it. I got that from a friend. That was a good buy. Valley 56, how are you doing? Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate it. And everybody, including Lee and the rest of you who've signed in, is that I know there are lots of options out there. There's lots of layouts, trying to build their channels. And, you know, I try to acknowledge as many of them as I can while I continue to try and build my own. So there are lots of options for everybody to spend the day around the hobby on YouTube. And Tom, it's 10 foot in end to end from a station to the other end, and about 9 feet across. It's not a big layout by any means, but you know, I've managed to just give a quick tour. I've managed to maximize it, and I thought it important that I get 4 tracks in there and build those tunnel entrances. So, you know, this comes around down into 2 tracks and then changes once again into basically 3 loops in each direction. So that gives me an area where I can store some trains and that I can change them out relatively easily, especially since I got some of the issues with points resolved. This one with Tom's help. Some of you who watched a year or 2 ago know that I had a fire in there, or close to a fire, and we got that resolved. So yeah, I've just tried to add things to the layout that would sort of demonstrate somewhat the area around Glasgow or the west coast of Scotland, where you get these rock granite carvings, and you know, the entrance into the old Buchanan Street and Queen Street station was via a tunnel. So there's 1 or 2 tracks in through the tunnel that went up into Cowlairs and beyond. But there's about 5 or 6 platforms in the present day Queen Street. So the points are not electrified, they're all done by hand because at the time of construction, you know, I wasn't comfortable with the wiring, but you know, I've still got some motors for the points that I don't know, maybe somebody will get around to putting a couple of them in, because I think I've got 2. And of course, so there's Lee. I've got 2 layout. One is 26 by 4. That is pretty large, Lee. And 2 8 by 4. So you've got 26 before and two 8x4, if I read that correctly. Thanks, Valleys. Appreciate that. I work away at it and try to bring unique things to it. And of course, my pride and joy at the moment is the tenement building. Now, what I plan to do is I'm going to sketch up the plans for that, and I'll make it available to anybody who wants a copy, because I've got all the dimensions. And what I'm thinking of doing is maybe making it half depth, or I personally would make a couple low profile half depth, and that will enable me to stack them up behind, uh, you know, behind the where this one presently is. Maybe get a couple in the background. And to give you an example, uh, that's what I was able to do. I have copies of the tenement as you see it. I've weathered it, and I put it on a black foam core board, cut it out, and it looks quite authentic back there. Once I get a roll in there that doesn't offset it with white polystyrene, but yeah, it looks quite effective. And that's the subway station, uh, King's King's World or King's Road models. I met I met a guy who was displaying them at a show here in the Toronto area, and he had all of the ones available. That was a free download, and it's very worthwhile. It's a nice model. I'll maybe bring it out, give you a better look. So yeah, the model there, right? It's in two parts. So you get the inside. I cut some openings to let a bit of light in so that it's not dark, and then the whole thing. There you can see it inside. Alan Reynolds, where are you? Your ears must be burning. Yeah, your ears must be burning, Alan, because I was talking about you, and I know you'd been in to see Mark, but where are you now? Yeah, I'll dig out. I've got a 4-page thing on that model underground station, and I'll post it or I'll make it available. Get you the link so that you can download uh, the plans for it. Very simple, and you can dress it up, name it what you want. There's a overhang, above the entrance. It's tied back with um, two poles. I didn't install it, but it would look quite effective um, if that was your choice. So, Alan, where are you? You haven't answered me yet. And is it raining where you are? Oh, you're just uploading the uh, uh, the video, yeah, because you left off where you had the van parked, and you were down at a station, and there were some nice locals passing through there. So looking forward to seeing that. If you get it up tonight, I'll have a look at it later this evening after you have gone to bed. Um, and how is it driving? And where are you heading to next? You're in North Yorks in the morning. Oh, that's good. No rain. That's excellent. Build model kits and cars. Good evening. I'm Charlie. I'm the host here at Partick Hill Station. I'm interested in your moniker, as you say, uh, build model kits and cars. I'm really interested in seeing what you build because I'm always looking to learn something new, as are the rest of us here. Maybe you can tell us who you are, where you're located, and the type of models that you do. That would be interesting. Uh, so you could leave a note after the fact on YouTube, uh, explaining, if you don't have time at this point, to let us know what kind of kits you build and cars and what scale they are. Um, if you're if you're in North America, I'm guessing you do HO, but you never know. You might do double O. And if you're in the UK, it's highly likely that you'll do double O. So for those that didn't see the little loco going around the shuttle, I have a Fowler. I'm just going to let you see for those who didn't see it. So that's an Airfix Fowler. I've actually got three of these. There's the other two. They're both in excellent condition. I think one of them's a Hornby. And that's the unit controlling the shuttle, which has yet to be installed, as you see, with those wires coming up from the boards. And I've presently got it driving this little unit here. Uh, anyway, it stopped because I've isolated that part of the track at the moment. When I get things organised, I'll just put a jumper in there so that the track is live. So that 9F, I bought that years ago, and it's heavily weathered, but it looks great and it runs perfectly well. Um, I don't know the story behind it, but the guy just said, "Oh yeah, I weathered this a while back, and it looks very good." What I would do sometimes is uh, I've got a number of those Airfix uh, blue circle cement tanks, and I'd hook them up, run them, but for the most part, they've still got plastic wheels and the bob a bit because, as you know, they're a bit on the light side. Uh, that was a 4 inch, uh, and as I said, I have three of them. I'll just let you see. Yeah, there's the other two there. You see, they get different buffers. So I think one of them is a Hornby and one's an Airfix. And there's the other one. They all have the same number, 4454. LMS and British Railways. These two are British Railways, although, as I say, you get different buffers and different buffer beams. So I'll have a look. Uh, so that one there is the Airfix one. That's the one with the small buffers. And it looks like that's an Airfix one too. I don't understand why there's a different buffer arrangement. Well, it turns out three of them um, are actually Airfix. Anybody looking for a nice Airfix 4F? Uh, yeah, Valley, it's heavily weathered. Uh, I've seen photographs of that local weather light. Yeah, the big buffers look better. Blood poisoning sepsis. Oh my god! Like, I wouldn't know how I would get that, but it sounds pretty serious. And I know you were in hospital for a while, and uh, thankfully they looked after you. So I think the next time I go live. I'm going to make an effort to get some passenger trains out here, and I'm caught between should I put the APT and 125 out, or should I pull out the A4s or Princess? I'll maybe have a poll and see what you think. No, I haven't seen those models. Just out of interest, if you've seen them, how much are they? Is it an arm and a leg or a new mortgage? Yeah, Clive, that's terrible when you don't know how you got it. I'm going to get another 9F out here in a second. Let me pull this one in. Okay, so I'm just pulling out this other 9F. As you can see there. It's just a little bit temperamental going over some of the points. On the front bogey. I'm not really sure why that is. But, this is a case of being at the right place, the right time, and getting that for the real steel. I got it a number of years ago. It's in brand new condition, and it looks terrific. I'm just going to bring it in here so that you get a closer look. I mean, it's really well detailed. And of course, because of that, you need to be careful lifting it on and off. But it is really, really nice, and it's a bank. Very, very smooth. And there's the little cardboard derelict building that I made from a cardboard box and a piece of carved on the top for the roof. I thought that was quite effective. Yeah, see it stops there because I think the front wheel comes off. Yeah, it's there. Network administration, yeah. Uh, well, as you may know, uh, my layout is DC because when I started collecting stuff before I built the layout, I think DCC was fairly new and people were sitting on the fence at that time. Oh, that's good, Clive. The hospital took care of you. And Valley, like, those are horrendous prices. But I guess that's what you have to pay these days. But yeah, so back to the saga of my layout being DC as opposed to DCC. Well, as you can see, everything runs okay. Um, and it's not really a big deal. Uh, if I were to go DCC, the cost would be substantial to put a chip in every local that I have. The alternative would be to select half a dozen and put chips in them and just go with that. And then the question is, what do I do with the balance of the collection? And some of the older locals, well, as you know, if a local doesn't run that great as DC, it's not going to run any better as DCC. So you've invested a lot of money for nothing, and so one would have to be very selective in terms of yeah. See, you pay 20 quid for a Lima. Yeah. Well, that's great, but um, was that a Lima with a chip in it, or was it just a DC Lima? Um, it is a question that people have to consider moving forward. I mean, of course, it does bring added value if you've got DCC. There's no question. Uh, but I think at the moment, I'm just going to stick with what I've got because even if I said, okay, I'm going to dedicate one line here, uh, dedicate one line to DCC. Uh, I've been warned away from that could be problematic moving forward, and that you'd have to have stringent practices to make sure you don't get the wrong vocal on the wrong track when power's on. Yeah, I'm going to take this line off. So I think So question about having a dedicated DCC track. Oh, yes. Oh, you've got a DC Lima. Well, £20. Yeah, yeah. You'd probably have to pay 60, $70. So maybe 60, $70. Maybe £30, right? Something like that. £30. Well, you'd have to pay $50, $60 to get a used DC one. Anyway, lads, look, I've been on an hour and 28 minutes, and I am very cognizant of everybody else out there that's trying to run a YouTube channel, trying to build, trying to put time and effort into it to capture an audience. And I don't want to be the one that's on for hours on end. I'll just address this. Yeah, I've got a couple of, I think they're 8 pins. I bought them a number of years ago. And in fact, I bought that also. So that was on sale at Hattons. It was a real deal. So I bought that, and I bought 1 or 2 Hornby chips. One thing that held me back was I didn't have a cable for this. The power input is plus 15 volts, and I just couldn't find the correct type of connection, but I could probably find it now. And so you could say, well, there's your motivation, Charlie, to go DCC. You've got a chip and you've got a controller. Yeah, well, that's another kettle of fish to be discussed at another time. Okay, so listen, I'm going to sign off, and once again, thank you all very much for taking the time to drop by Partick Hill Station. I really appreciate it, and I'll be seeing you out there in the community. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you later. Bye for now.